Good morning. Good morning. Good freaking morning. Good freaking morning. This is The Pipeline on DFW iRadio. Look, he laughing because I don't even know what I am right now. I'm speechless right now. We got I guess author of I Am Not My Mother, Rey, coming in. She a couple minutes behind. I'm very excited to have this conversation with her. Speaking of, I read you know how you read the back of the book. Hey, ever bullshit a book report? Hey, ever bullshit a book report and just read the back of it like, I'm finna be like, I'm finna summarize it. Bruh. What? So I did that with her. Like, I said, send me the back of it. I ain't never read the book. I said, send me the back of it. We gonna cheat today. Just what I got off of it, I'm interested for this conversation. Because if you start looking at, especially, I'm not in the dating world per se, anything like that, but you know, you see all your homies that may be still in the dating world, and they be seeming spooked by these women, and just to, I'm sure women probably feel the same about men today. You know what I mean? But just even looking now, you see everything that happened on IG, on social media. You know what I mean? You start to looking like, what's wrong with people right now?
No, I ain't jealous of none of my female friends. At all, fam. At all.
But when you look at stuff like that, Rashad, what up, bro? When you looking at stuff like that, it makes you wonder, like, what happened between those years, those adolescent years, those teen years, those times when you should have been, those morals should have been instilled. Like, what happened?
Man, the internet happened. Cloud chasing happened. Likes happened.
I ain't never had a tool I've never seen a tool. Hi, Rey. Hi, Rey. How you doing this morning?
Can I sit right
Yeah,
here?
you can sit wherever you want. You sit wherever you want. I was just starting to kind of go into your book. I don't even know if that was what it was. I told him I cheated like on book reports. You ever did a book report and you go to the back, like, you ain't read it.
Okay, so that's where you're going. Okay.
And you go to the back of, you be like, boom, I know what this motherfucker about. I got this. I'm finna make this A on this. Even though I make a C, I'm happy.
You
got
gotta
your headphones on. Huh?
You gotta strive higher.
I'm just saying, every time, when you was playing ball and everything. Yeah, we ready for paintball today, bro. Shout out to Pat Williams, man, of the Baltimore Ravens, man. We all ready for paintball. But I want you to introduce yourself, because I'm ready to talk about this book.
Whew. Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So my book is I Am Not My Mother. And honestly, like, it really exists to say that there's something to be said about learning from our past experiences, right? Like, when we start unpacking, like, our stories. And I remember reading this book called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud, and he was saying our first formative relationships shape our entire lives. So when you think about your partner, right, you either, like, for y'all either choosing someone that's like your mama or the opposite of your mama, depending on the relationship that you have, right? And so, anyway, I was at a point in my life where I was like, I could see that my past experiences created negative responses in me. Like, I was being reactive to them, if that makes sense. So I was angry. I had zero patience. Like, I had trouble committing. I was kind of a toxic friend at times, too, just because of all the different experiences that I had lived, right? And so anyway, so I got to a point where I was like, let me try to start to unpack my story and let me try to figure out some patterns, or, like, is there something I need to learn from or that could shift me in a different way? And the pattern I kept seeing was my mother, like the direct connection back to her. And so I was like, her and I had a distant relationship then. So I was like, maybe this could be our bridge. Like, maybe if I can start being transparent with her about who I am and what I am and all those things that have made me the way that I am, maybe we can use that as a bridge to each other. And so the title is ironic. So the title is I'm Not My Mother, because honestly, like, after all of this, I realized not only am I very similar to her, I want to be. Like, there are things about her that I want to carry and yeah.
So that's kind of it's interesting, because we were kind of touching on that. We were saying we don't envy people that's dating right now, because you hear all these horror stories. You be like, yeah, these women crazy. oh, these niggas crazy.
Yeah,
you hear all of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, what's putting us in this spot now? You know what I mean? Like, and it's always nurture.
Absolutely.
Nature and nurture is crazy. Like, however, if I'm hanging around savages all the time, probably gonna be a savage.
Absolutely.
So, speaking on your book and you talking about past experiences, how hard was that to looking at, because you have to look in the mirror?
I think that's like the most important question. So so I have people that are reaching out that's like, man, you wrote this book. I'm an aspiring author. Like, do you have any advice for me? And I was like, writing took 3-4 months. The emotional toll this took on me is really what took me the year, because it was like you unpack, you look at things that you like, damn, am I really this person?
Yeah.
Or like, has this really affected me like in a way that I didn't expect? And so it was taxing, and honestly, so I'm regularly in therapy now, and
hold on, stop. You say you're in therapy now?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you recommend it for? I don't know.
Man, stop being black people that don't want to go.
Look,
your ass to
man,
therapy.
look. I do have therapy. It's called Road Look. None.
That's
listen. That is a form of therapy too.
See?
But I do think there's something to be said. There's something to be said about so my therapist, right? Like I kind of brain dump, right? And then she kind of pieces it together and gives it back to me in a way that's like, you can use this for something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like she repurposes my thoughts and stuff.
Right.
So I think that's the point.
No, and I do agree. I think everybody, especially in our I don't like saying black, because black is not a race, it's a color. So our melanated culture, I think we all need somebody to get that stuff off of.
Unbiasedly. You need an unbiased opinion, because like if I talk to my mama, right, she's gonna be on my side. I can do no wrong.
Hell no, my mama ain't always on my side. I be mad.
If it's you against somebody else, she gonna choose you.
My mama always choosing Misi's side.
Okay, well then that makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay, and I feel you on the unbiased, but who's to say that advice is even the correct advice?
Facts. The thing I appreciate about my therapist, though, y'all, is really the fact of she brings it back to, like, the way your brain works. Like, bring me back to something that's not just feelings. Like, bring me back to some science behind it. Like, I was saying something about, like, after I got into an argument, I was craving something sweet. And she was like, that's your body's stress response. When we get in stressful situations, we either like, crave something salty or something sweet. And that's a natural
natural response.
Yeah.
So how impactful was your therapist in writing this book?
I don't think I could have done it without her, because
Did she know you were writing it?
No.
Okay.
And she kind of told me not to, because she was basically saying that like one of the things that kind of fuels me is achieving, right? Like if you give me a goal, even if I'm not committed to the goal, I'm gonna make sure I go above and beyond. I'm just competitive that way.
Right.
And so she was saying that like, it's great that you're having these thoughts. It's great that you're having all these feelings, but you don't have to achieve something for it to be valid. Like you could just feel this stuff and talk to your mom and whatever and just do it. Right. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to write it.
It's encouraging to see that you as a person, especially as a creative, because this is a creative piece of work, to be honest. Because especially with the world we live in, we in a clap situation. Everybody want clap. Everybody lying. Ain't nobody being real about shit right now. And it's a mirror into how it's everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying you gonna be like that, you like that, but for the most part, who can I trust? When we start thinking about the younger generation, because I think when you're talking about 20-something, 30-something year old, it's hard to change that person. You are who you are more than likely. Yeah, you can probably grow and mature and evolve, but for the most part, your tendencies is gonna be your tendencies. Mm-hmm. I think books like this are for the younger generation, because I think it's one of those things where for me, it puts you in the position of, let me open my mouth, because closed mouth don't get fed. I need to talk to this person. Maybe try to draw something else out. Do you, because I know you used to be a teacher, right? She didn't tell us that. She didn't tell us that. She used to be a teacher.
I wear many hats.
See, did you see yourself? How many situations did you see with even with not even just with daughters, but young sons out there who may have been struggling? How many situations did you see where a book like this could have helped them?
So a couple. So to your question, a lot. Like I really feel like our culture is beautiful in a lot of ways, but it has some deficits. Like to be honest, like I think in the sense of, I can speak to like specifically with like black moms and daughters. Like I remember there was like this Madame New York article that came out that was talking about the brokenness between black moms and black daughters specifically, right? Like we want to ride for each other, and there are things that only a black mother could be able to navigate a black daughter through.
Right.
But there's a disconnect. You know what I mean? And so it's like, for nothing else, like, to be honest, like, this book is really not even just about my mother and I. Like, it really is me trying to dig through and resurface things that I needed to find healing from, you know? But the backdrop was my relationship with my mother, because I kept seeing the connection. Like, Maya Angelou has this quote that says, like, a mother, in an eerily way, a mother is the gap between the known and the unknown. And with black women and mothers specifically, like, we have a gap between us, and it's like my mother is the one that's going to be able to unlock this for me, but I have a disconnect with her, with the one thing that's going to get me where I need to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I see that even as young as, so I taught kindergarten, and I could see the disconnect as young as that, right? Like something happens at school, Miss Betty, please don't tell my mom, please don't. Like, why? Because it's going to go straight to reaction or punishment or whatever. We're not having a conversation.
Right.
So now it's like my mama is somebody to fear. She's not somebody to talk through. I talk all the time, like, I don't know if I'm going to spank my kids.
But you know what?
Like,
and I'm glad, because I think that's why it's these days it's almost scary not to have both man and female in the house, because I see it all the time. That male figure is just, they, especially with young boys, they not so much fear, but they understand their authority. I'm only gonna say it one time. You hear that voice. Sometimes I ain't got. I just stand up. They be like,
yeah,
all right, he ain't playing. God dang. But with that mom, she unnurtured. She unnurtured, and she didn't have that baby in that belly.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be harder for that mom to get on that ass.
Yeah.
So she gonna say it a couple times. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Speaking into this book, did you grow up in a dual household?
No, I didn't. Well, I guess so. My grandfather kind of stepped up and was like the father figure in my life, so I guess so.
So with this, let's talk about this. That's kind of geared towards that. Can we? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because when we speak about our households, and we spoke about this all the time, there's a lack of male presence in society, period.
Yeah.
And that's by design. You look at the system and how everything is being geared towards us. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Even the classrooms, and I think you can probably agree with this, the classrooms are set up, I feel like, more for women's success than it is for males. Mm-hmm. I think we learn differently. We need to be, we want to move, and we want to learn by hands, where you sit here and read a book to me, I'm going to look at you 30 minutes into it, I'm like, man, bah, I'm hitting you with a rubber band or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go into that, you writing this book and having that, not necessarily having that voice, because you did say you had your grandfather there.
Yeah, but it's still not the same. I mean, we can kind of agree to that.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So, like, go into that writing in this book. How different do you think this book would have been if that was different? And maybe the struggles that brought out, that came about, even to inspire you to write this book.
Yeah. It's interesting. So there's a chapter in there called Father's Pursuit, right? And for my story specifically, kind of wrapping my grandfather into it. So I'm from Ethiopia. I'm originally from Ethiopia. My mom and my dad were both living together when we were in Ethiopia. And when I was 4, my mom like literally packed her and I up and moved. And it was like one day I was in Ethiopia with my parents, and the next day it was just her and I in this new country, you know? And so there was a disconnect there with my father for a really long time. And my mom came to the States for the covering of my grandfather. So she like fled Ethiopia to be here to get away from my dad, and then my grandfather kind of swooped in and was like the saving grace. The ironic part is that was the first time they had seen each other in over 2 decades.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So there was a disconnect with them, and so I talk about in the book that, you know, I didn't see my dad for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
So it was like history repeating itself in a sense or whatever. And so, ironically enough, for this book, the kind of the void for my mom that my mom and I both felt kind of helped us navigate those feelings together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in an ironic way, it ended up being better for the book, if that makes sense. But definitely, like, experiencing it is hard, and we didn't really even understand that like connection until he had passed.
Yeah.
And then my mom was like, I never told you this. I mean, when we started writing this book, she was like, I never told you this, but I constantly craved the relationship that y'all had. And I was like, why her? Like, why did she get that? I needed a dad, you know? And my mom was like, you know, and I'm not supposed to say this, but like, I'm a little jealous. Like, you got a second chance, I didn't, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's complicated. Dads are like glue, you know what I mean? And so it's, yeah.
And it's no wonder that you see them really taking men out of this equation.
Facts.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we were talking about, you know, just the community in itself and why we can't be in politics, and I know that has nothing to really do with it right now. But you don't. There's those strong male leaders aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. We got Ray in the building, man. Yeah, I'm loving this
Got
conversation. Nah, that's what we want. That's what we want. Because if for me, you know, being an artist, being a creative, like, it's hard. You ever just go out to the club and you just bored as hell as soon as you get in there, because it's like it's not what you want. I be wanting to have conversations.
Yeah.
Like, Dallas don't have no spots where the music just at a certain level where you can still have. I ain't got to yell for a conversation.
Now, you know how old we sound, though? Because every time I go somewhere, I'm like, why is it so loud?
It's not even that, though, because
But it's like I
the loud
can't
music.
talk to other people with it being this loud.
It's not that. It's just once you woke to the system, shit just not the same no more.
That's true.
It's hard to get into that. It's hard to get into the mood of let's just bring our hair down, because I'm always thinking about something like, I hear this shit, you hear this bullshit in this music. Like, I hear everything now. Nothing.
Yeah.
I can't. It's hard for me to enjoy the moment unless I'm just around like family and just good friends. Because I guess I'm always master planning or something like that.
Okay.
But it's not a bad thing. Huh?
I mean, balance.
Everything.
Everything.
Don't be crazy, Tree. Now, how long did it take you to write this?
A year. But to be real, my whole life. But,
Right.
you know, a year.
How differently do you think this book would have been, say you tried to write this when you was 18? Because I think
What was I going to be talking about?
Don't say
Feelings.
that.
All the feelings.
But just like you said, you can't discount feelings like that. You know what I mean? Because even at kindergarten, they scared for their mama to get that news now. Because I know when I get that news from KJ, he ain't look. How you do? What happened in school today? Oh, no, it was good. And then what really happened? He get real quiet because they know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just because he's 8 or just because they're young ones too, don't mean they don't go through stress or anything like that. So they may not be able to explain it or to translate it.
Yeah.
But if you were able to go into their head, hell, we got how much interesting stuff we probably have.
That's a good point. We can't discount which phase you're at.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. It would have definitely been a different narrative. Like, honestly, I speak a little bit about, like, there was a resentment I had for my mother, you know, going into this. Like, honestly, this kind of started as a selfish kind of mission, was like, let me kind of list all the ways that you, like, can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
The way that you fucked me up. Like, let me communicate with you
So
how
you
you
went on
fucked
a
me.
rant.
For sure. And so when I started listening to her story, I was like, okay, that sounds so familiar.
Start to see the parallels.
Yeah, and it kind of was like, you start to see the human, and I'm like, dog. So when I thought about it, so my mom, I write a little bit about it, like, I told y'all we moved from Ethiopia here, right? So when we moved from Ethiopia here, she was transitioning continents, right? Barely spoke English, but was like, I got to make a new life in a new country.
Right.
Was going to a place that she hasn't seen this man, this father, in 20 years, right?
That's scary.
She was 25. Like, And I'm sitting here judging you for, like, dog, like, yeah. It's you start to see the human, and you're like, what is this resentment? At 18, Ray was mad. Like, Ray was resentful as hell. At, 30, it's like, okay, we can heal. Yeah, like, she's a human.
So after releasing this book, I'm sure that the conversation had to come between you and Mom. Has it came yet?
The resentment?
Well, I mean, she's ready to...
Oh, yeah. Everything in here she already knows. What's crazy is when I first started, I wrote a letter to her. And I put it in the book. But I wrote a letter to her just kind of saying, like, let me just lay it all out because it's going to come out anyway.
Right. Let's kind of hold that thought.
Yeah.
You know what? You ever dated a girl, like, back in high school, and she was like, texting me, go listen to the song, That's How I Feel Right Now. Was that you?
Yes.
See, it was like, I don't want to listen to Beyonce right now. Like,
it could be anything, but yes.
Lord.
Yes. Lord. I think that's a life skill.
Right? What, Beyonce or relating?
Relating it back to like a song or just being able to identify exactly what you feel.
Sometimes you don't have the words.
Listen. Sometimes you don't have the words.
Go ahead, what you say outside.
But anyway, so I wrote her a letter just letting her know, like, kind of like, I resent you. And these are the things that I feel. But there's a love for you that I have, and I want to explore that. And she responded. And she was honest. She was like, the first thing I felt was sadness. Like, how could you think these things of me? Whatever. So, yeah, she knows. She knows. And it's not out yet. So I don't know if she's going to feel, it's out on July 16th. But I don't know if she's going to feel differently once, like, let's be real. Like, I was raised on, like, our business is our business. Like, right. We keep our business at home. Like, so as soon as I think some people, grasp some business of ours, I don't know if she's going to feel differently. I'm going to be honest. But right now, she's cool.
If you were mentoring a 10-year-old and she was having a hard time with her mom, because I think that, and a lot of the times is you can't really help it, because you see so many single parents right now, mm-hmm. or the other parent may be wherever, but if there's just not a lot of time that you have with your kids these days. I mean, we talk about all the time. How long we at work? If you working a 9 to 5, you there for what? 8 to 12 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
That kid is at school how long?
5 hours.
Then you got maybe 4 hours with that child? Really, one to sit down because you got to make dinner. You got to make sure they bathe. Make sure your ass is bathed. Hope you bathe.
Homework.
Yeah,
all of it. Yeah.
So you're not even able to break down your day with that child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you do see that disconnect. Again, I always say it's by design. What we're going through right now is not by coincidence. The people that control us, they want to control our community, because if we would ever be on one accord as a people, do you know how powerful we would be? Just even giving us our history back. Do you understand how powerful we would be? So you talking about disconnecting a child from their parent just on a daily basis. If you had a child that you were mentoring, let's say around like 10, early teens, preteen, what type of advice would you give them as far as reaching out to that parent?
So I would say, don't go about it the way that I tried it. I think the forceful, seek to understand, basically. Right. Like, there's something to be said about the fact that your parent has lived at least 2 decades or so more than you have, right? Like, there's some wisdom there, right? Like, right. Sometimes, I remember the best advice I've ever gotten was, like, say whatever you need to say, but make sure the other person can hear you, right? So there has to be some type of, like, empathy and understanding that you have going into it. So, like, just listen. Yeah. Just try to understand. Try to see the human, It's not excusing anything, because, I think parents are doing the best that they can, and they don't always get it right? So there is some, like, hurts and things that happen, but just listen. Probably be the best advice.
It's so hard. Me and Josiah was talking about that before you walked in, as far as social media and how much social media affects things. And I feel like it's a gift and a curse. Like, it's a curse because we all know all the ills that come with it. You know, it's people trying to outlive a moment in time. Literally, these pictures be happening or a moment in time, or sometimes they even digitally fixed. You know what I mean? They retouch or they throw themselves some gold on there or something. I've literally seen it.
Yeah, but also we can look at it as a gift and a curse because we've lived life before it.
Right. True.
You know what I mean? The thing that I'm worried about, these babies are coming into this world with Instagram pages, right? So like, I'm not saying that's bad or don't give your baby an Instagram page, but it's a different world.
There needs to be balance.
It's a different world now.
There needs to be balance.
Because go ahead.
Now I was gonna say I seen something online before that said that we are the greatest generation of dealing with technology because our parents they were analog.
Right.
Yeah.
We came from that, and we seen this whole digital change of everything. Right.
Yeah.
The ones under us, all they know is this.
Yeah.
They can't survive in that old world.
We're the hybrids.
And the ones before us really can't survive in this new world.
Right.
But we got the balance of both.
Right.
I got that same fear, you know what I'm saying, for the youngsters.
It's scary because you look at the younger generation and you speak about morals and all these different things. Well, just think about the kids who maybe only had one parent in the house. They was raised by the Claire Huxtables or you were raised by who else was good fathers growing up on TV?
Carl Winslow.
You think Carl was alright?
He was a good dad.
Yeah,
he was kind of goofy, but
yeah, Uncle Phil, even though he was rich ass, his values were probably the same. But everybody has
okay,
you
I
know what I mean?
His dad.
You know what I mean? You just got those little examples.
Yeah.
But now everybody getting raised by, like we said, what's on their phones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's scary.
That's scary.
I mean, all these schools are teaching their curriculum through rap lyrics for a reason. Like, you know all the words to whoever, Lil whatever, but you still don't know how to read. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah. The culture is shifting. But, I mean, our parents thought that the culture shifting when we were younger was just, like, so absurd, too. Like, they were just like, no, like, everything was better, you know, in my day or whatever. So, like, every generation is going to feel that. Every generation is going to feel that their day was the day, and we missed out.
But I don't even think it's a conversation of my generation is better. I think it's more so much of how, like, you know, community. It's not about. I don't care. I can give two shits about what generation is better. I literally care about us coming together as a community because I feel like we are holding on that by a thread as far as being completely overtaken. I do think we're in the age of enlightenment because that's why that's that gift of social media or technology because it's if you have a person that's woke, it's a tool. It's so much information and you got so many people that's putting those dots together for us. But if you don't ever get that enlightenment, you basically living, like I said, you chasing an image. Mm-hmm. Everybody competing off an image. It's all materialistic. Or the woman you want. The woman, half these IG models, you ain't gonna see that walking down the street, and you ain't gonna have no chance to get it. Just being honestly speaking. But is that really what you want? But that's what we chasing as younger generation. And especially when you only got, if you have, I'm not my mother, or I'm not my father situations. You know what I mean? They got something's raising them, and that's why I say that I'm scared, man. I'm scared, and I don't want to sound like no punk, but bruh.
I think we don't. So you started to do a little bit. Like I don't think we talk enough about kind of like the benefits of the way that things are now. You know what I mean? Like we're more connected than we've ever been. Like when we think about just Black excellence, like I feel like we're breaking barriers in so many different arenas. Like, there's power in the way that, I mean.
Do you think we're more connected, or do you think because we have these phones, it seems that way? Because there's nothing new under the light.
It works both ways. We're more connected, but more isolated.
Very much
so. At the same time.
But like anything else, like a tool is how you use it. Exactly. It could be a weapon or it could be of use. You know what I mean? Like resourceful. So it's like, I can keep up with family in a different continent, and I still feel connected to family that I'm not necessarily able to talk to every day, right?
Right.
That's a tool, right? I could,
chase an image.
Exactly.
But I it's hard for me. I feel like, because if you look again, you look at the 60s, you look at the 50s, you look at the 40s, 30s, 20s, when you had the Black Wall Streets. Before that feminism kicked in the 60s and all those different programs that destroyed the communities. Even though we didn't have these phones, we were connected like a month. You had a community where my son can go down the street, and if he did something, I'm gonna know about it.
Yeah.
And they were gonna watch over him. You know what I mean? You had a community of the Black Panthers where they was doing free lunches. They were taking care of the people who didn't have that other father or that mother, or they needed help. I don't see that much. You may see it, but again, as much as communication that we have, I would expect to see more of that.
I think we're talking about like two different measures of connection, though. Like, I think we're talking about like quantity over quality. Like, so you're talking about like when you say that's a village, right? Like,
right.
That's like we're raising each other's children. Like, we're mindful of each other in this place. Like, we're in community in that way is different than to say the outreach of your phone, right? Like, something can go viral and can reach further than your village. You know what I mean? And so there's something to be said about both.
It is. But even now, I think it's individuals. You have an individual, like I said, you can do 5 individuals. It's gonna be hard to beat a team. You know what I mean? I would rather. That's why we go back to the Jews and the Asians. As strong, is quiet as they are, they the one of the strongest, especially in America today. I remember I go back to the experience I had going when I was eating donuts. Still, this is what 2 years ago when I was eating donuts, maybe a year ago.
I feel like I've seen you eat donuts.
Nah, I ain't no goddamn donut. Akila, what up? Nah, but you go in, obviously, but Asians in there working, and then the air conditioner broke. Walk in, goddamn, why so hot in here? Guess who fixing it?
I
They
believe
people.
it. I believe it.
And so it's we got all the way off the subject, but it still all ties in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just watching out for that younger generation and what's happening with that next generation. After you drop this, so you dropping it July 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Where's it gonna be available at?
Amazon.
That's it.
Yep.
You gonna do it on? I can't do like e-read.
Oh, you can e-read it on Amazon.
Oh, it gotta be through.
Yeah,
Amazon.
you gotta do Kindle,
Kindle,
which is Amazon.
What about Google? I'm a Google man. I don't mess
Are
with
you?
Apple.
Maybe I'll branch out.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
a Google man all day. Be you in? What up?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still growing, so you can make it.
I'm sure this is.
I'll get your cards for me.
Yeah, I need that. I'm sure you. What's next after this? Because
Tree, I feel like we vibing this morning.
I mean, that's my job. That's my job. We're supposed to get that connection.
So, last summer I shot. I guess I could say it's like a mini docu series. And I shot some mothers and daughters sitting down and having some honest conversations.
That cover.
Thanks for the love. But anyway, so I shot some mothers and daughters sitting down on the couch having some honest conversations. Have y'all seen like Black Love Doc? Y'all know what that is?
I've heard of it.
Okay. Look, black men like, what?
What's that?
Black Love Doc is like this series that Oprah has on her network that like it's basically the same thing, but it's couples. Like black married couples sit down and talk about the realities of marriage and all that. So we kind of did the same thing, but mothers and daughters. And it's intense. So I'm gonna, after this book is out, I'm gonna start releasing some teasers, and then we'll try to start pushing out a docuseries.
I bet that is like you tell. Look, I'm on your ass right there in front of you with the cameras out,
y'all. And I'm asking, I ask open-ended questions because I'm like, you could take this as deep or surface level as you want to.
We always say that.
And they chose deep, y'all. It was like the whole crew was balling. Like every mother-daughter duo we had, and they ranged. So we had like a couple new moms that this is their first kid. Their baby is less than a year old. They're still trying to figure it out. And then we have mothers of kids that are going into college that are, trying to navigate that. We have mother-daughter duos that the mother didn't raise the daughter, and then are now in their adulthood trying to figure it out. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be
Generational. There's
want-
like a mother, granddaughter, and a daughter.
Now I got to be a man right now. Where we at? Where we at with this? Where we at with it? We gonna be on this?
Hey, you know what's crazy? I feel like I've had that conversation with so many men. They're like, "Listen, I support you and all, but
Yeah,
it
well,
feel
look,
real."
Look, I feel a little excluded out right now.
And you know what it is though? Like, I really feel like this conversation. Y'all have mothers. I mean, you have wives. Like, I really feel like for Black women specifically, if we don't create the space for us to have these conversations, there is no space to have them. So I think like I'm cool taking this one and being like, y'all not included. Like we figuring it out right now.
And I love that. But Keela said, when is that coming out? The documentary.
I'm gonna start releasing the first teaser mid-August.
Okay.
So check the Instagram. It's at I Am Not My Mother book.
Now I'm glad you said that. This is not attacking you at all.
No.
I'm on online on YouTube. Have you ever heard of Black women raising their daughters and loving their sons? Have you ever heard of that phrase?
I've heard it once. Maybe once.
And the only reason because when you say that, you say having our space, I think it kind of ties in. You heard of it before, haven't you?
What you mean? I say it.
But
I have nothing but brothers. I'm the only girl. It's a difference.
It is. It's a big difference. T.Jones, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I've talked about that.
It's a big difference, and that's why I say, where we at with this? Because maybe I need make me go put my Dr. Phil out, girl. No, seriously, because it goes to again where we're at when you start talking about dating today. It's people talk about. I hear homies talking about they dates and stuff like that, and I don't envy them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't envy them because you hear the stories. It seems like it is a book out there, and you start thinking about why are people? Because it's not just women, it's men too. We some fucked up creatures. But I think it's both sides.
Yeah.
And you start asking yourself, okay, we know the disparity when you're talking about men being in the household. But we know it's just a lot of situations where they're just not in the household. Or the ones that maybe they are in the household. What's causing this right now? What's getting us to this point where we're struggling to put together a village because nobody don't even want to get married. Or people just dating or just fucking, whatever that is. Like that's what it is. Like why aren't we being raised? Why are we being cuddled? And that's the only reason I said that, because we don't be forgetting about us.
And honestly though, like, and all jokes aside, like when we think about what we're talking about, like unpacking your experiences, like all of that, like I feel like that goes across the board, right? Like men deserve that same space to unpack their experiences and try to figure out, like, okay, what can I learn? What can I repurpose from this?
Being in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I seen that rock in your hand. Being in a relationship.
Rock done broke your camera.
Being in a relationship, and having those past experiences, how do you feel like that's affected you in your relationship, and as far as the growth and evolving to even getting that rock?
Listen, it's a journey. I'm gonna keep saying this: relationships are a marathon. They're not a sprint.
Yep.
Listen, I saw it on your hand too. Like, man, I talk about this in this book too. Like, so part of my journey was I realized, like, unpacking was realizing one of my vices was reassurance, and specifically reassurance from men. And it doesn't even mean about like physically. I just mean even just like having men think I'm interesting or like, you know what I mean, attractive or whatever it is, like needing that validation. And I think I dated with that intention in my past. Like I wanted to be validated by this other person I was with, and with like growth and maturity, I think now that's not, I want partnership, you know what I mean? Like I want like someone else to sharpen me. Like
But once you get that partner, you still want validation.
Oh yeah, for sure. It just looks
away.
different. It just looks different. Because honestly, like at the end of the day, like I'm my own metric. Like I want to say I'm good. You know what I mean? So I think that I would say is a healthy place to be when you join a partnership. So I feel like I'm in a good place now. I'm glad it happened now.
What is it about that validation? I mean, I think we all as human beings like to be validated.
I mean, y'all was killing Aisha Curry for saying that. I just want to bring that up.
There's a time and place for that. And not
Okay, yeah, it was not.
Platform makes a place for it.
Okay,
That
so
wasn't
was
her
that the
fault,
beef?
though.
Was that the issue? Was it because she
Have y'all
said
read
it?
the rest of the article though?
Did y'all watch the interview?
I watched the interview.
I read
don't
what
think
I read.
what she did
I read
was
what
that
she
bad.
said, like off the record though.
You gotta watch the
Crazy,
interview though.
though.
In context, you're right. It may not. Is that your real beef though? That she said it
I
out
don't think it was
loud?
that bad.
No. I'm not
I
tripping about
personally don't
that.
think it was that bad.
I just
Oh,
don't
okay.
think that was the place for that though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She didn't really say
No.
that though.
I'm talking about what she said.
Oh, okay. So I ain't read. If she got out of tune and it
That's
got,
what she said that was like, whoa, that was just the tip of the iceberg though. But I don't know if that was said on the show or was just in transcript. I'm not
Yeah,
100%
because I
sure.
feel like she didn't even say. Even the thing that she got killed for was in passing. Like I feel like when I watched it, I didn't even really hear that part until it became a thing,
People
and I had to
start
rewatching
dissecting
it.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, did she? Oh, I didn't know it was that deep.
I mean, this is my thing.
Let's be
This is
real.
my thing, and I'm only reason. I feel like the only reason I can kind of relate is I played ball. If you play, especially you play college ball, you play high school ball, you understand. Literally, when I played to college, my coach used to say, "Tell your girlfriends bye." Like straight up, tell your girlfriends bye. So if you was committed, you had a girlfriend. What you away from them? And basketball season is long. You start in August, and you don't stop till March. That's over half the year. So you talking about on a professional level?
Mm-hmm.
I can see anybody longing for some attention, and credit Jada Pinkett Smith for asking the right questions. I don't think she intentionally went out to
Pull that out,
but she asked the right questions. You ask the right questions, hell, that's what's gonna come out.
And people just share what's really on the surface of their heart, right? Like, I don't know if she was just thinking that or something had just happened, but something like, you know what I mean? Like, when you sit down and somebody's like, hey, how you doing? You gonna say the first thing that comes out, right? Like, man, my job, and that might have been on the...
Can
I read it?
Look,
One of y'all two can read that if you like.
Jada Pinkett Smith put them bottles away before she put the cameras on. Put them bottles away. We got them drunk already.
Let her read this passage that your girl
This
said.
is not what she said.
That's what I'm saying. That wasn't on
Courtney,
air
what
though.
up? Darryl, what up?
That wasn't on air though.
What'd she say? Okay.
That wasn't on
I was
air.
hooked
I
on
did
phonics.
not hear that.
They said no.
I
Y'all
was
just
hooked
heard
on
the-
phonics.
They said y'all just heard the tip of the iceberg. They
Is
said
that what it was?
Yeah.
Steph and I have a great marriage, first and foremost. We've got 3 beautiful kids. We're the
What
perfect
is his
though.
voice?
We have our ups and downs, but the beauty of our marriage is the ability to keep it real. I recently told Steph to his face, you haven't been doing it for me in a long time. I haven't been as sexually satisfied. Ooh.
Yeah,
She did
see
not
how they
say
stopped?
that.
She didn't say that on air.
This was what got out where?
She didn't say that on
Where
air.
did it come out? This is
Somebody
like on
found
the
those-
camera or
You know how
something?
they edit stuff on the shows and whatnot? Yeah.
She didn't say that.
She didn't say
She didn't say it
that.
on.
Say
She didn't
that.
say that
Nah,
on air. I'm just
man.
telling-
Nowadays, if
Man.
you don't have the
He
audio,
said-
you don't have the video.
Nah,
it didn't
saying what
happen,
they-
man.
That's what
You
a lot
hear
of
I'm
what
not
they-
saying. I'm not
You hear
saying
what
it's
they're
impossible.
accusing
That's
my
why
girl
she
was
said it
saying.
wasn't that bad. Man, you see what she was saying? But it wasn't on air. It wasn't on that show, though. She didn't say that on air.
What in the hell?
I need to see
She
proof.
talks too much, man.
You think she really said that?
I'm just telling you what.
I think they was really outing kind of each other
Yeah, there
on
was
that
some-
episode
there
a
was
little
some things
bit.
going on
Like
though,
his
man.
sister drinking. Like I was like, damn, you don't have to
Bro.
tell everybody that she's
But
an
you know-
alcoholic.
You know, Steph is her only, though, right?
Right.
Her only. But she ain't Steph's only.
Did we know that? Wasn't he like
I mean, I think
15?
people assume that, though. You know what I'm talking about?
I ain't getting into
You're
that.
right. We have never really asked.
Look, man. I ain't gonna get into that, man. I ain't gonna get into that. He is an NBA player, but I ain't. I'm not.
You ain't
gonna
gotta
get
say
into
nothing
that.
else.
I ain't gonna get into
He's
that.
chill.
Black men don't cheat.
That's
There you go.
okay. Let's talk about that though. Let's talk about
Black
that.
man don't cheat.
Let's talk about that. Let me, on behalf of all black women, say that we are very irritated by that.
Why? Because I what?
Change the narrative.
Is that what the purpose is?
That's what it is.
Okay.
I would look.
So changing, if you saying this is a change of narrative
Yeah, it's
campaign,
not- United
I'm
Front.
100%
It's saying
United
for
Front.
it.
Look,
You know what it comes off
It's a
as?
statement and it's a warning. It's saying black men don't cheat. It's just saying, change the narrative.
Yeah.
We are loyal people.
A
But
united
it's saying
front.
Is that what
black
y'all was
men
saying?
don't cheat. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Okay.
You know that
United front.
Okay,
there's some
you
more
clean that
souls
up.
out there.
You clean that up.
It's all about having a united front.
But let me tell you what it comes off as. What it comes off as is we're dismissing what has actually happened to multiple black women,
Right.
which is getting cheated on. Blah, blah.
It goes back to nip death. I'd rather have a narrative of Dr. Sebi than black on black crime.
Oh no, I'm
United
cool.
front.
I'm cool. As long as we're saying that it's changing the narrative and we're not dismissing what.
Let's argue in the house. Let's argue in the house. There's no more arguing in public, man. We gotta start wrapping this thing up. We had some good conversation today.
Y'all gotta let me come back.
See, I've been trying to get you here.
Tree, don't act. Please don't act. Y'all know I know him off air, right? Okay. Tree,
I've
this
been
is my
trying to get
boy.
her.
So I know you off air. Stop acting.
Look.
I'm just saying.
That's all right. I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. I'm gonna tell it
Don't you
over the
lie.
mountain. Look, man. Let's start wrapping this thing up. I think we've touched so many. Who you like basketball, right?
Yeah.
Who your squad?
I mean, it depends on the season.
We can't have this conversation.
I'm more like a player fan.
She don't know what happened last night.
Exactly.
You know what happened last
I
night?
watched.
What happened last night?
It was a game on last night.
Because John had the game wrong. No. So she don't know what happened.
I really don't know what happened last night.
Yeah. We talked about so much today, man. However you want to summarize this thing, so we like to summarize it up. Whatever you want to say, you want to do some promo on the book, do the promo on the book. Whatever you want to do.
Follow me, the Mr. David, on Twitter, Instagram. Unity over protest. Black men don't cheat.
Hey. Right.
You know what? I'm Not My Mother is out July 16th. And follow the Instagram page at I Am Not My Mother Book. We'll also be promoting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had that. Why you ain't follow me?
Okay, well, I will now.
Dang.
Dang.
John, what's up, John? We beefing over here.
Come on now, Steph Curry, y'all stopping.
And Black Men Don't Cheat. That's the last thing I want to say.
What can we follow you
At I Am Not My Mother Book. So we're gonna also preview the docuseries too. So stay tuned.
Okay. And that's on
Instagram,
Facebook, on everything.
All of
I Am
it.
Not My Mother Book.
Yes.
DFWA Radio, all platforms.
I'm gonna say this, man. We touched on so much today. First, I'm gonna say is if you got kids, like I said, we don't get a lot of time with our kids. Make sure we are at least reaching out, just having a conversation. Every day with my son, when I pick him up from daycare or school, whatever. How was your day? What you do today? I'm trying to probe, because eventually one day one day it could be that one day I don't ask and something really drastic may have happened. And if I don't ask that question, you know what I mean? He gonna be trying to deal with it by himself. I would rather help him go through that. You know what I mean? So it's just put our hands around them. They use. That's all I got to say. Right. This is the Pipeline. This is the iRadio. Y'all can find me. You want to tell Robert Jackson? Sorry. Somebody controlling my other Facebook. I don't know why. I don't know how they did that. Y'all can follow me at Treetop Dallas on everything. Shout out to Candy. Candy was Candy's birthday yesterday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Okay, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I know she turned 30. Probably got a migraine right now. Now we out, man. Hey, I appreciate everybody listening, coming through. What else we got this weekend?
Got that meeting tomorrow.
Meeting tomorrow. Oh,
yeah.
We got the first film getting ready to do. We got
Let's
the cast
do
getting
it.
together. I'm excited. I'm just sitting here rambling. Man, we about to go shoot some paintballs. Y'all want to go shoot some paintballs? Mills and Ellen Freeway and Cedar Hill, man. Shout out to the homie Pat Williams, man. We out. Peace.